Yeah, really, the top three that we see in the region. Now, you and I were also talking about what we see in other regions. Jhin has a huge priority in places like the LEC. Here in the LPL, it's beyond these top three that have been banned in front of you. As, okay, Nunu's in a decent position in solo queue. Let's not open with it. A better jungler that you were just talking about, the Lee Sin, is going to be taken by Ultra Prime, a favorite of Hacker, but you're giving over the next tier of AD carry because of it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's going to be kind of the jungle matchup here, so potential for the Jhin Zhao, and then going for the Jhin or the AD carry pick anyway for EDG. Viper Meiko perfectly happy to play this. Usually paired with a Leona, and if you want to go for like Jarvan or Jhin Zhao in this top bot side, you end up with a super strong lane that you can play around early. My big question though is with Corki taken off the board, do we see Scout bring out something a little bit different than a bog standard? Because we've seen him play the Ryze, we've seen him play Vex, we've got him playing both the Corki and the Victor. He's played something different every game. Could have picked the LeBlanc angle here as well if you're going to be looking towards the kind of squishier, kind of less range-orientated matchup in this AD carry role as well.
But like you said, you know, if you're talking about Cryin, I don't see him as that carry mid lane player. We talked about it exclusively that he is that Twisted Fate, the Corki, people that can roam around the map and impact the play. And especially if they go for this bottom lane again, Dagda. I mean, Ultra Prime, they're going through the weeds a bit. It was Elk with the Kaisa pentakill. Show us if you can do some similar damage once again. This was a lane that Ultra Prime built focus on, and it's nice to see them go back to the roots if they're able to secure another support, you know, like the Thresh, you know, we always talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it can do well. The big problem is Leona's just the bully in the lane, right? Unless you go towards something like the Rel, who can actually do okay against her, you are going to be on the back foot regardless here. So it looks like they're just going to go towards something that's either going to be, you know, a little bit less aggressive in lane, but something that can scale. Instead of the Rakan, it is going to be the Nautilus. So definitely taking a back seat in the matchup, but certainly something that can do well in setting up this Kaisa come those skirmishes and fights.
But now for the side of EDG, we need to talk about that jungler because someone like Jiejie not having it piques my curiosity. He's picked up the Viego a couple of times before. We'll see if he pivots in that direction, because if we do see a Xin Zhao, we have a Jhin, we have a Xin Zhao. It's every League memes fans meme. There we go. It's Jhin Zhao. It's literally Jhin Zhao. So we get our jungle, we get our standard core bottom lane. And Dagda, it's a standard pick and ban just with a change in champions, now solo laners, and now a ton of bans headed their way.
Yeah, EDG actually the ones that are going to ban the LeBlanc, so surprised to see that. Vex feels like with the Corki taken off the board and potential Victor ban upcoming, a big pick here that could be locked in by Scout. Zoe taken away as well, just preventing EDG from trying to play at range. And I'm excited to see if we get the Flandre counter pick again, because we got the Annie into that Jace matchup, we've gotten the Vladimirs. It feels like EDG have a bunch of picks left over from Worlds that didn't really get to see the light of day, and we get to revel in it now.
the Annie man as well. Flandre's played it, Cryin's played it. It's a shame we don't get like two mid laners who are both Annie aficionados, but Annie ban in game number 1, very, very strategic ban I like from EDG. But Dagda with 3 mid laners already gone at the Gwen safe line. And maybe our solo lane's going to be a bit more fun because Victor being the only thing up. Victor's boring, guys. We know that. We don't want to see it.
I mean, yeah, it's Victor or Vex for me, or is kind of the other big pick that I wouldn't mind seeing. When you look towards the mid lane, it's kind of been the Ryze as well that's kind of creeped up, but it certainly has been like Vex kind of the next top tier, and then we kind of dip into the Ryze. But Scout has played this before. He seems happy to try and use this as a roaming champion, and gives the EDG the opportunity with the counter pick here for Flandre to try and play side lanes reasonably well.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'll be curious to see how Scout abuses this, because on the other side, he might not be able to get out of the lane as willy-nilly as he likes. If Cryin picks this up, Dagda, this would be Cryin trying to play for lane, which we don't often talk about.
Yeah, Syndra has a good matchup against the Ryze where you can try and get those stuns. Ryze relatively short range comparatively, so can set up for Hacker to try and play here, but we'll have to see if he's going to be able to do so. Looks like ZS though, going back to just your bog standard Renekton pick, it's like, look, great blind pick, means that you don't have to worry too much about what's going to happen in lane. You probably end up all right. But I want to see what Flandre goes towards here, because Gwen gone, Camille still up and available. The opportunity to go for something like the Graves that he played a heap of in Worlds, or that other pick he played a heap of in Worlds, the Jace. So you got a ton of options that can do really well into the Renekton. And if you want to go for the Jace, you got good side lane control here with both Jace and the Ryze. You can avoid a lot of the team fight that Ultra Prime are trying to play for.
Decent scaling as well, Dagda. Now that it is actually a Graves instead of the Jace you're talking about, we have solo laners who are going to be moving into the late game quite well. And a lot of good setup from EDG. Walk me through their comp before we talk about how fun Ultra Prime could look.
Yeah, it feels like for EDG, right, controlling the 1-3-1 is going to work wonders for them. They have, like, some decent team fights coming through with, like, the ability for Leona to set up but and enable Scout and Flandre to chase down. But going up against Ultra Prime and this super strong front-to-back fight, it feels like EDG's best bet is to try and use their map pressure, use their mobility, look for picks, and see if they can kind of catch out.
It's not like we were watching LGD before and thinking, man, what's going on with this team? I think Ultra Prime have a lot of potential. And against EDG, that'll show us a lot. They verse the previous world champs.
I do like the idea that you bring up, though, that, like, Saint Gun Bro of Flandre just got upgraded to Shotgun Bro when he moved over to the Graves. It's just like, cool, same idea, lane bully, let's just try and beat you down with as many pump shots into you as possible. But he is going to have a great matchup here, right? And I actually think if you're starting off in this game, there's two ways you can look at for Jiejie. Try and play up onto getting some early kills onto ZS, setting up Flandre for success, and having a good spot in that top lane. Or, which looks like it may be the case, is playing tempos.
Oh, hang on. Meiko starting the level 1. Look at ShiauC and Elf. They got first blood. Wow. Hacker helping out. And you know what? We talked about how the strength of bottom lane's there, but not this quickly.
No.
The Q missing there from Cryin, but an auto attack close. Pots needed to be burned. And 1-0 to start off. Ultra Prime give their bottom lane a bit of a boost.
The fact that Cryin let Viper get away there is actually criminal. There is no way the Viper should have been able to escape that. But either way now, you are going to be late to the bot lane, right? Viper has to go for the full reset. Has gone for the boots and 4 pots, so his sustain isn't going to be hurt that much, but it will give the opportunity for Ultra Prime to get first push, Elk to get a nice reset as well. Could even go for something like an early cull if you wanted to, and just look to scale into the game, because there is always the opportunity for Elk to go for that AP style build.
Again, ShiauC started the first hook, and granted, EDG did walk into that brush in the replay, but hitting yet another. ShiauC welcomed us to Hook City a couple of years ago, and it's been nice staying here, you know, with the Blitzcrank, the Thresh, the Nautilus. Hook City continues to show us what a good time it could be. So Dagda, the bottom lane, set up for success. 11 CS to 2 at this point. I'm excited for this early game because you already talked about how Hacker needs to set up this team. Cryin, ZS with a target, but Elk and ShiauC once again built on a path of good intentions by the jungler of Ultra Prime.
A good call from Elk and ShiauC, though, because you're talking about junglers, right? Jiejie was trying to go for a quick gank onto this bottom lane with his pathing, but not going to be able to do so now. Get spotted by the ward, and now he can actually go back into Wolves, up onto this top side, but that's exactly where Hacker is, so Hacker may be able to contest with the push that Cryin has in mid, but with ZS being shoved in, Flandre can always come down and make this a 3v2.
So Dagda, I'm curious though, as we look at some trading in the top side, you did talk about where Hacker could influence. I noticed that Viper still has no sums, Meiko without a flash as well. Do you just double in and bot? Is it all about the bot lane now for Ultra Prime's early game?
I definitely feel like it is a good shout, right? And especially because Viper and Meiko will eventually want to shove out this lane, and Hacker is coming down, but JJ's contesting.
Big wave getting pushed as well. Viper and Meiko acting like they don't care, but Jiejie in the wings. EDG, it's a massive bait. Viper gets low, but ShiauC, is he the target? He's running away pretty damn fast. Jiejie is going to help push out the wave for now. It's Jhin and Zhao once again, guys. You know what to do. EDG aren't able to get a counter gank there. They'll drop the board and back away.
Unfortunate there for Ultra Prime. Hacker wasn't able to get access with no flash up and available onto Viper, despite the low health bar and a great hook from ShiauC, but means they walk away. Jiejie reading the play well, though, and this is what we're talking about from Jiejie, right? Like, we just said, hey, he'll do Wolves, he'll back up towards top side, try and go for the Scuttle Crab himself, but so many times Jiejie will just sacrifice his own jungle or his own XP lead to make sure nothing like that happens on the bottom side of the map. And it caught Ultra Prime unaware. They thought that Jiejie, with him being spotted out, would be top side, but he's always there to help out where he's needed.
And making sure the Viper doesn't fall further behind. I like that you pointed out it was a big segment of ours, and something that you felt really passionate about is, you know, how Jiejie keeps his team all wrapped up in one nice piece. And Viper able to catch back from there, but leading the wave back and bounce. And right now, sitting on 30 CS while picked up Swiftness boots. Dagda, also want to point out that Elk is going forth with Warhammer with Tier, so it looks like we're going to see the AP Kaisa build, the one that gets everything upgraded pretty quickly. Like, I've been spamming it in solo queue. It's a bit of fun. It's really good.
Yeah. It's kind of insane how much damage that W does as well, right? Like, I've seen it like 2-shot 80 carries if you manage to get ahead, and Elk's a little bit ahead right now. So, we definitely have to see what kind of damage he can put out, and it offers just so much, right? Because you also get the poke, which is going to do great against people like EDG Viper, who want to try and keep you at range, or you can actually do quite a bit with just the amount of burst damage you can do with the passive. So, we'll have to see exactly how this one goes. We need to see if Elk can keep up the kind of support he's getting in the bottom lane, though, because we're starting to get to the 6-minute mark. Scout off of the next wave is going to end up hitting level 6. That's where he can start to make these plays down towards the bottom side. You see it there, he's just hit it and see if he can make things happen. That's why Jiejie is here. They want to try and put Cryin on the back foot now, burn a flash, so Scout can play more aggressive in lane and enable him to get out on the map.
Because I'd love to see if ADG can, you know, impact the mid lane you're talking about. Dragon's up too. A couple of minutes before Herald's spawn, Hacker's back down in this lane. Excuse me, ZS on the top side though, dealing with Flandre, who's just collateral damage. Dominus is available though. ZS has flash available. Remember, he's not supporting Ignite. I'd be watching the top lane, Dagda. That's an ult flash at the moment with full fury as well. ZS is going in. Ulti not used, but the slice and dice once more. Flandre, again, keeping himself quite healthy. ZS somehow not getting the trade back that he wanted.
Yeah, you need to win these early trades much harder because you've already got the Vamp Scepter and the Fleet Footwork there. So, unfortunately, ZS not quite able to keep up with just the health regeneration that comes through from the lifesteal. And now EDG, after pushing bot, they're going to turn towards Dragon.
Another ward. Hacker with the Sonic Wave. He has flash to get out of there. Goes on in, steals it, yoink, but locked on down. Doesn't matter. There's a Realm Warp on the back. It might, but ShiauC's here. Scout can't do anything. And that is just a free steal that Hacker literally hacked.
I mean, Ultra Prime are doing really well in this early game, right? They get the level 1 going their way. They're managing to steal away. It's just kind of like barely managing to keep just out of reach of EDG every single time. And right now, it's just meaning that EDG can't try and play towards these team fights where they're strongest. They're not finding opportunities to play in towards the spot side. And one of the big things we said was Scout having that Realm Warp available. That's how they can play in towards Elk and ShiauC on the spot side. See if they can disrupt the magic that's happening for Ultra Prime's bot lane. But that's not going to be the case now. He's been put out because he used his Realm Warp with nothing to come from it. And we're just going to get the Pro View replay here. It's just such a nice steal coming through, and just about able to smite above the 450 mark.
I mean, didn't have to burn a flash. He safeguards out of there, and for Hacker again, you know, it was the kill that went over to Elk where he was a part of it. He tried to get the gank down in the bottom lane. He's been pretty active in the early game. Jiejie's been trying to catch up. Jiejie's been safeguarding a little bit. Lyric, I'm surprised the early game's going this way. Again, we talked about EDG.
Excuse me?
Excuse
me, who are you casting with? Who are you casting with?
What did I call? Did I call you Lyric again?
You did, yeah.
Oh no, dude! I'm so sorry, Dagda.
Look, I'm gonna take it as a compliment that I can match up to Lyric and his knowledge. All right?
You can, dude. You can. I apologize. It's been a while. It's been a while since we cast together. As Herald spawned,
it's been a hot.
I was literally just gonna say that, you know, Ultra Prime's early game. This is exceptional. This is what we saw against Game 2 against Top Esports, where Hacker was hitting the bottom lane and the priority netted the fact that Elk was in a great position. He once again is in that position, and despite EDG getting great vision themselves in setup of these neutrals, steal away is even bigger. Ultra Prime heading towards the Herald. EDG already started this up, and this time for Hacker I can't say good things because he is just nuked. He face checks, and it is a big mistake with EDG's vision finally paying off.
Yeah, it looked like a bit of a disconnect from Hacker there from the rest of his team. As you still had ZS and also Elk coming out from base, where EDG, this is where they're strong, right? You get the quick reset coming through from Meiko. He's there before the rest of Ultra Prime can show up, and they managed to get the kill, and now you're equaling out that early game kill for EDG. They've got the Rift Herald, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start using it down towards this bot side with the amount of attention they have.
Vision's there. Elk has his flash and cleanse available. All it takes is one from Scout, but they're going for the dredge line Nautilus, who ShiauC ultis him, gets away. They burn no summoners. EDG have 4 members down in the bottom lane. And now for Cryin, he'll just push up the mid wave and carry on.
And now you can get the answer from Ultra Prime, right? Hackers in top side, Cryin already moving up there, and Flandre's got to run away, but with members committed top side for Ultra Prime, it feels like we might get a Rift Herald bot, but Jiejie's actually backed away, so for Ultra Prime, that's a big win. That Deadly Flourish going wide, not netting ShiauC's death, means that Ultra Prime respond really well.
Top side, what happened before? ZS was going all in with dominance top. Flandre once again using collateral damage. Starting to get a leg in this lane. ZS now catching up on the CS. Got the push in. 2 bits of turret plating Dagda. And this Croc is going to hurt a little bit more than maybe EDG expected.
Yeah, and I mean, that gold swung about a 1500 just off of the play there on bot. So you can see like Ultra Prime responding really, really well to it. And now EDG moving mid.
Well, Cryine's in a bit of trouble. Flashes away immediately. He's not dealing with that whatsoever. Flash down. It's going to be a minute before Dragon, so impactful. And especially with the Herald Dagda, EDG are going to get the turret plating gold of their own.
Should get about 3 plates here for Scout, which is going to be really nice. But again, we can see like EDG are trying so hard to catch out Ultra Prime, but Ultra Prime are actually doing a good job of keeping themselves safe. ShiauC got away in the bot side, Cryin flashing away. And although the turret plating and all going across is nice, it was kind of inevitable as long as Elk survives.
He has cleanse available, used it after about a second. And he does survive. Curtain call now is going to be a different matter. Second shot, third shot, the fourth. Flashed away from by Elk. No summoners for this AD carry. And again, Viper and Meiko still a deadly duo in their own lane.
And if I'm Jiejie, that's like music to my ears for this Dragon, because you have to put yourself in harm's way as Elk to really get the damage off. You're always in when becomes lightning range. You've got flashes on EDG that can really set up for plays as well. And that's not even including just the fact Viper can catch you with a deadly flourish. So I'm expecting to see Scout and Jiejie trying to make his way down bot side. Hacker here though, trying to see if he can prevent that.
Well, ShiauC's looking for an angle. I think importantly, Dagda, we've had a lot of positioning, but you know, while this Dragon gets started, you and I in a second going to have a talk about this. Vision in this early game has been so important. His ulti in the top side may be more important for now. Flandre with the flash spell that the ZS can match. The Renekton pops the shield bow. Doesn't have an item of his own. Meanwhile, the fight going on the bottom side. Both top laners can't join as EDG finally secure their own Dragon. One apiece as the fight begins on top of Meiko. I don't think Hacker wants to be here. He flashes forward, the Sonic Wave doesn't connect. EDG getting low though, the Tempest Cripple doing work in a circle, but they're on top of another. And Elk finally drops down, Cryin hit by Viper. And this is the EDG we know and love. They're taking names, they're sacrificing some of their own, but it's a one fight with a 4-for-2 on the board.
I don't know how EDG won that fight. There was so many times in that I was like, Ultra Prime have done it. They've got it. That's the CC chain that's going to end it. And EDG somehow, some way come out with the advantage. And Dragon going their way as well. That was such a big turnaround for EDG, and the first time that it's kind of looked like they've gotten the full control wrested from Ultra Prime. Like we see here, right? Jiejie goes incredibly low. Meiko jumps onto Hacker in the backline. It doesn't really matter. And this stun coming through with the kick from Hacker, right? This is gorgeous. It manages to get both Meiko, sets up what looked like the kill on Viper, but Viper just about managing to escape. And Jiejie, because Jhin Zhao has that passive that heals him up, stays alive for so long with these auto attacks, and it buys just enough time for EDG to bring it back.
Again, the vocal member of EDG. I mean, Jiejie with the Gore Drinker was able to buy so much time, like you said. That was absolutely insane. And now has a bounty because of its Scout as well, benefactor from the play. Flandre and ZS didn't join, by the way, guys. That was a 4v4. But Flandre is winning out this lane, 10 CS in the lead. Plates just taken, as you saw. And Dagda, it's a 1k gold lead. The game is definitely not one-sided at this point. But I do feel like at this point, when you were talking about Scout being an impactful player in the early to mid game, he's now opened up for a bit more success with the extra gold he got from that last fight.
And now you can see EDG starting to congregate around mid. They want to try and force down this turret. No real push in bot side either, which means where EDG are positioned, Elk isn't able to get to the wave, so they just poke their head in, get a little bit of damage onto the tower, and back away. And it's this kind of like encroaching wave that EDG do so well, where they push in mid wave, roam bot, but don't really commit too much. It's just enough to make you back away and then get a bit of chip damage, get a little bit of extra CS, and then they rinse and repeat, just moving bot to mid. And now Hacker
doesn't need to be here, or doesn't want to be here, I should say. Third kill for Scout, and Jiejie in this mid laner. Scout's linking up once again. Thank you for the turret too. That's first turret blood. And 15 minutes into the game, and EDG soar ahead by now 2,000 gold.
But it's just insane, isn't it? Like, Ultra Prime have been, like, managing so well in the early stages to match EDG, stop them from getting any sort of advantages, backing them off. But EDG finally find that one inlet at the Dragon fight, and then they're just ruthless. 3 kills now towards Scout, 2 over towards Jiejie, and this mid jungle with the mid lane tower down can go and start to roam and set up on the map.
Might have to put the bottom lane while you're chatting there, Dagda. Elk is ambitious on going on in as the Kaisa heads towards the serrated Dirk and a Manamune. Might be going towards the Nashes here. Second item holding on to the serrated, but not important because Jiejie has picked up a second Herald and Flandre's picked up a turret. 2 turrets for EDG, no response here for Ultra Prime. Elk and ShiauC are going to be fended off by the bottom lane of EDG. In fact, Elk actually going to be locked down. There's the TP once again, Dagda. You talked about this, but now it's unleashed, and Jiejie and everyone else are down here. 5 members of EDG and ShiauC just wants the support, but Viper will pick up a double. And when EDG say go, they go.
I know, there's nothing you can do. Cryin was fully pushed in mid, so Scout just gets to roam from that side. You've got the rift out here. It's bot lane that's going to be able to crack it open. And this time, the gold is going towards Flandre. Scout resetting to catch the wave top. And just like that, EDG have taken over the game.
I mean, that was a bold play, and the fact is that EDG is still making it. They're going to get more from this turret as collateral damage gets Flandre out of there. Big charge once again for the Rift Herald. And the biggest point from that, Dagda, is that Flandre, you said, you know, getting the turret gold. He got turret gold in the top lane. Flandre picked up a first turret blood, I believe, and as we look at the replay again, EDG just wanted everyone to party.
And there's just nothing that you can do here, right? You're already nearly dead just to the duo, but you've got Flandre, who's TP down. You've got the Scout, and also coming through with Jiejie. Like, how do you try and match that? It's just impossible. And now, 17 minutes on the card, right? We talked about the potential 1-3-1 for Flandre and Scout. Well,
yep.
Side lane's already in control. Mid pushed out. Dragon's going in favor of the EDG. It's not like Ultra Prime have any way to force EDG into these fights, and there's so much in the way of gold and items that have just been picked up by EDG. They're fine to just keep playing out through sides.
I mean, Flandre's scary. He's a 2-item Graves, and you know, how do you look to match that right now? Even as it has 1 item difference, it feels like. We don't have gold values next to portraits anymore, as it is past the 14-minute point, but I can tell you that Flandre is a couple of K ahead. We're looking at EDG in positive light once again, despite the early game Dagda. And, you know, we were talking up Ultra Prime. They picked up first blood. They were playing really well towards the bottom side. But EDG countered it once again. Like any other team going up against Ultra Prime, target Elk and ShiauC's lane. That's the lane that Ultra Prime looked to for success. Well, ShiauC can go in. Meiko actually going to be the first target, but that's a lot of burst damage. Jiejie jumping in by himself, and Scout's going to join in. Wait, that's a Ryze. AoE, and Scout tries to get Hacker away from him. Ultra Prime now in a bit of a choke as Viper's holding on for it. Onto Cryin, the Solar Flare flashed away from. Look at the summoners tick away as Scout uses the Realm Warp aggressively. EDG have just gone from lulling in the first 5 minutes to absolutely exploding in the past 5.
All they needed to do was find that one break. It was just the flashes being burnt in that fight gave them so much at the 12-minute mark, and now EDG are in so much control. Flandre, if you're considering still going on ZS here.
Low mana, he's got a bit of HP though. Remember, a Mortal Shield Bow. Clear out the play, but not go for the 1v1. ZS still confident enough now, having picked up the page. Dagda, we're going to get another replay here. EDG just want to go forward.
I mean, it feels a little bit like desperation here for Ultra Prime. Like, yes, you've got a good kind of choke point here that opens. They're too far ahead.
Game 19 minutes in, EDG have soared to 5,000 gold lead. We don't get the absurd, you know, CSD stats before 15 Dagda or gold difference of 15, but we are getting a strong mid game from a team that has 3 bounties, 2 items on their core carries, and doesn't look to be stopped at this point as Meiko gets caught out, but not really. The rest of EDG quickly behind him, as Baron will spawn in 10 seconds, the next Dragon in 2 minutes 30. And EDG is soaring towards an Ocean Soul too. So at this point, Dagda, you gotta tell me what Ultra Prime do to pull some reins back into this game.
I mean, they have to try and find the team fights, right? But it's super hard to do. And I want to draw attention to something that EDG do really well and why it's so oppressive to play against this 1-3-1 style, right? Because keep your eye on whenever Flandre is showing in a lane on bot side, right? Scout will not show as we go top side.
Scout of the week, is it there? No, deadly flourish from downtown. Scout runs in, no fear of the turret. And EDG, Dagda, you might have to be more specific as to what Ultra Prime can do because you wanted to fight. But EDG are just picking them apart.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was about to point out from EDG playing this 1-3-1 style, right? Because Flandre shows them bot wave, right? But they're never showing them more than 2 lanes at a time. So the second Flandre shows up on the bot side of the map, you end up seeing that EDG, either Scout will disappear from his lane, or the 3-member core of EDG will disappear from mid. And it means that for Ultra Prime, all your alarm bells are ringing, because it's like, okay, well, what is the game plan here? Where are they going to go? We don't have the vision to spot them all at once, and this time around, they collapse onto that top side of the map, pick off the kill with Scout, and get the turret. But again, you'll see it here, right? Flandre showing bot side, no vision onto where Scout is. And Scout can always show up on bot lane to pick off the Renekton when he's got the TP up and available. He can always be on top side of the map and looking for a pick on Cryin. You just don't know, and it's something that EDG do so incredibly well, but it's really, really oppressive to play against.
And again, that's why in the early game I was talking about vision, Dagda, because you nailed what Scout wanted to do in this game so damn well. Where we looked at Scout's map movements and how EDG could play with it. Well, their deep vision through the early game, you know, was scouting out people like Hacker, you know, Cryin on their rotations too. It's still there. The deep EDG vision, the control ward priority for this team. Another reason why we talk them up so much. Look at the vision difference, EDG versus Ultra Prime. You can see even support difference, the ward score of what I'm talking about. It's very significant, and it's been control wards that have been harnessed all game long. And even towards this Dragon Dagda, Ultra Prime have to walk through this layer of vision, but there's always a ward behind them. There's always a flank ward. There's always one ward that Ultra Prime aren't able to clear.
And a big L realm warp as well. Even if they clear out the vision, there's still ways for EDG to get in behind you.
That's true.
Right now, Ultra Prime have control of River, but they don't know where Flandre is. So again, they're playing back, and that's when EDG pounce.
Another deadly flourish. ShiauC at half HP. That's not a good sign. Dagda as ZS is going to be targeted as well. EDG are following him down the line. He's going to move to Soul Point while Scout is just playing with a Raptor. Meiko looking to block the Sonic Wave. Ultra Prime nowhere nearby. Dragon's already gone. The gold lead is still about 5,000, folks. EDG at 22 minutes. We're going to wait another fight for this Ocean Soul to become a reality.
Still, though, it's easy pickings for EDG, right? Scout's going to move up towards top side. He can clear out this wave. We'll see as soon as Scout hits that top side, Flandre just dip out of vision.
Okay, on a ward, Meiko actually called out. Unleashed power, good little pick by Ultra Prime. Hacker wants the backline. And Viper has the Gale Force away. Remember, he has ulti, Jiejie flash as well, but Ultra Prime a little bit too deep. ShiauC at half HP too, have to be wary of. That's a pick though. And Ultra Prime on a ward, they're like, hey, let's start the Baron.
They have to. Flandre's pushing in bot side. He is TP to join, so it still will be a 4 versus 5. As Viper opens up with the curtain call to get some poking.
ShiauC's hovering out of range. He didn't want to interrupt him because he knows he'll be dead, but now out of rush, the dredge line doesn't connect, and EDG, they've halted them off the Baron, but it recharges, goes in, and 3k, the TP in the backline as well. Ultra Prime's opportunity to get in the backline, but Viper still untouched. The deadly flourish once again, and Flandre joins in with Scout at the helm. ZS heals up, but it won't be for long as Scout charges through a choke. The Realm Warp now layered down, not even taken. And Elk is the biggest carry at this point. Cryin doesn't have enough mana. Flandre is also over the wall. Good scout of the week. The final marker, though. Flandre just whops him. And this top laner picks up a spicy quadra and an absolute stomp of a game one.
They line up perfectly for Flandre. Shoots it down the line and knocks over the double. Ultra Prime, they tried. They found the pick. But EDG are too damn good at team fighting. And now they will come back to Baron to claim their prize.
Dude, Flandre deserved that quadra. Not only the way he's been playing throughout summer, throughout this split Dagda, he's 285 CS at 24 minutes of the game. As we look at Ultra Prime in the middle of Baron with not too much hope.
But look at Scout, right? Scout goes in aggressive here, baits out so much from Ultra Prime, ends up using the Zonyas, and this entire time, Viper is dealing damage to the Hacker. You have a great flank position for Flandre, so it's perfect for him. And then even though Elk does manage to get one back, you're just got too many members of EDG being able to pincer you across the board. Too much gold has been picked up, and there's the down the line perfectly for Flandre.
Oh man, you know, his first 4 kills of the game, it was a quadra kill. Flandre only has 4, so nice to see that he gets some credit and that EDG in this mid game have absolutely walked over Ultra Prime. It's amazing that the early game was so close that it was the invade that went wrong for Edward Gaming. It was the early game bottom lane that looked great for Elk. It's come crashing down, and as even the 2.5 item Kaisa doesn't really have too much to say against EDG and Dagda at 25 minutes of the game, 2 minutes until Lotion. What do you got for me?
I was about to say, your 2.5 item Kaisa, it's 4 items onto Flandre. It's 3.5 items, nearly 4 onto Scout. Like, you're not keeping pace with EDG. And I mean, Baron up, they get to push, they get easy vision control on this top side. And ZS, I feel like even if you get this flank, it really doesn't matter. EDG have so much control, so much disengagement, so many ways to prevent the follow-up from Ultra Prime. It's becoming just impossible for Ultra Prime to deal with.
Well, it's 10,000 gold at the moment, Dagda. 26 minutes, 10,000 gold lead, 315 CS Graves. You can see he's my focus as collateral damage hits Cryin and ShiauC. Not much to talk about there, but the push will continue. The Baron about a minute away from expiring, and Scout and Jiejie work as a duo. EDG move over to the mid lane as well, waiting for the next wave to sync up.
But it's this just back and forth, right? And you've always got to be aware as Ultra Prime that at any moment, Scout can just realm warp both Jiejie and himself down to the bot side and catch you unaware. That's why we've got like a 2-3 push going on at the moment, because they can always join in at a moment's notice. So for Ultra Prime, they're being spread thin. They have to make a move or they risk losing everything.
Dagda, that was so smart. EDG waited for the cannon. They synced up the waves, mid and bot, both pushing in at the same time. Now Ultra Prime can't react to all. They've left Elk there, but bottom wave's taken damage. Mid's almost gone. And EDG have a wave in the top side as well, so everything comes crumbling in for Ultra Prime. And booking 3 waves at once is impossible. As the turret finally goes down and EDG want to make their last stand. Burst damage once more flown through by Flandre as a curtain call. Could be the true curtain call for Ultra Prime. 5 members going back towards the fountain, and for EDG, that's 1 inhibitor going down. Another turret as well. Right through Ultra Prime's face. The TP flank Dagda. Do you believe? Do you believe in ZS? I don't know, man, because this Renekton needs to get some good target selection on top of Scout. He stuns up, gets the AoE, but the problem is Ultra Prime don't have enough damage. They may get Flandre, but Viper's another problem. Scout as well on the back line. A 1-for-1 trade. It slows down the game, but there's an Ocean Soul to take.
But it's everything invested on that pick. That was Ultra Prime's last call. They were trying to see if they could make it happen before that Ocean Soul, but unfortunately not. Now it's EDG picking up that soul. Ultra Prime are left with a crumpled base, and it's so easy for EDG to continue on, right? You send Flandre into his own lane, group up as 4, you siege in on this top side, and as long as you've got super creeps in 2 lanes, you're just going to be spread too thin as Ultra Prime.
But I like this attempt at the very least, right? We're going to see the flanks once again. When Ultra Prime are against Death's Door, you got to give props to ZS for, you know, making a great flank.
And a great kick from Hacker as well, right? Honestly, I think Flandre probably your best bet here. Like, as we said, 4 items already for this guy. He's near full build, so one of the big damage dealers, and You can burst them out, it looks great, but unfortunately the rest of the team just wasn't quite in position to follow up. So you get one, but then one back. And Soul going over to EDG. And here's exactly what we're talking about, right? They're going to get control over the top side. No vision on where Flandre is, so they can't really go and try and contest this vision take from EDG. And Scout and Flandre are going to push in this top wave. It's so hard to deal with this Ultra Prime.
EDG are going to move to the top wave, as you said, but mid's going to be crashing in time enough. ZS defending bottom lane for now. EDG only have one more inhibitor turret to go. Inhibitor to boot too. I think importantly enough, Flandre is almost full build. He still hasn't upgraded his boot stack though. He doesn't care. Doesn't have time for that, and as he wears old socks. There goes another turret. Scouts on the flank, and ZS is trying to do the same thing. Cryin with Scout the weak on top of Jiejie, but that's present guard immediately. ZS now in the middle, and he spots out Scout. He's like, oh no, he was waiting for me. And EDG have already taken one. It's Elk, the strongest member down. The Luden's Echo on the Kaisa. Not going to do anything, especially when it's dead. Scout just goes on in. And at this point, for Ultra Prime, points for trying, but EDG crushed the mid-game and made sure this wasn't going anywhere near the 35-minute mark.
And EDG are just so good. Like, I don't care if I get called biased. I love watching EDG.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are so clean. You see, in the early stages, right? Level 1 doesn't go their way, but we get the plays from Jiejie down towards the bottom side, making sure that Elk actually can't play with Hacker to try and turn around that bot side of the map. And from there, EDG just play off of their strong mid lane and moving in towards the Ryze, moving around the map, being able to work in conjunction, and this constant ebb and flow that we always get between what's happening in the mid lane, moving down to bot, and then reciprocating that by moving the bot up to mid when they have a chance to get this chip damage on turrets. It's this slow, methodical play that EDG make happen, but it's almost like a dance on the map. It's so good to watch.
It really is, and you know, the fact is, when they found those fights, it was very calculated. It was the point of, okay, this is the straight, we're going from A to B, not, A and then where do we go next? I think there's a lot of the calculation behind EDG, but, not just to toot their own trumpet, toot their own horn. Ultra Prime's early game was a lot better, guys. Ultra Prime found the pick when EDG tried to go for the invade. They got punished for it. Elk got first blood. And even Hacker making plays towards bottom side. Dagda, you even said yourself, first 10 minutes of the game. It felt like Ultra Prime were the ones in control, and that's why they get the props. Now, EDG obviously smashed it from that gold chart there in a methodical way. But Ultra Prime get props for the early game they played and why this team has a bit more respect than they did in previous splits.
And it feels like Ultra Prime did a good job of trying to dismantle a lot of what the early game planned from EDG, right? We saw ShiauC and Elk managing to avoid the first gank, the second gank. We've got Cryin managing to just avoid that gank mid, but it's the follow-up. It just feels like this relentless push from EDG, and I think it's very different from what we saw from EDG from last bit, right? We commented EDG, very slow team to get going. It wasn't really getting a huge amount of play in the early stages. We'd get some mid-jungle action, some play down towards the bot lane objectives, but not to the same caliber of this. This feels like a much faster EDG.
It really does, and a 30-minute game, it would have been a lot faster if EDG found that lead from the get-go, but we'll see, because Ultra Prime in game number 2 got a lot of work to do for EDG. We'll see if they just continue the path of destruction, heading towards the 3-0 series start right after this.